Our top story comes from the WWE star Nikki Garcia, who is promoting the new trend called slow dating. It is an awful trend for women, I believe. And just in case if you don't know what it is, I will let her explain, as she did a couple of days ago on her podcast with her sister.
Anymore accept the bare minimum from you in this relationship. I'm actually going to slowly date you to see the expectations I do want.
Yeah.
Are you going to open up my doors? Are you going to be open and vulnerable with me? Are you going to communicate? I think it's beautiful, and I think
I think it's quite ugly, especially knowing that she's now in her 40s and single. But there is more. Let's hear a little bit more.
For
you're not going
sure.
to push me to commit or have sex or
Right.
whatever else, that we could just start to chat and work our way into, like, is this worth it? Do we move forward? Like, do you know what I
For
mean?
sure.
Oh, for sure, I know what you mean, girl. Okay, now let me translate it from the common and the most preferred language of modern women, which is gaslighting, into modern English. What this trend tells men is that these women want to date you where you will be giving them everything that they want: the emotional support, your time, a lot of times your money, and so forth and so forth. And sometimes you won't even get to see them in person for quite a few days or maybe even weeks, where they will be giving you absolutely nothing, and definitely not that one thing that you want. So this is sort of a way to trick men into sort of a one-way sexless marriage type of a relationship, and it's now being promoted by a 40 something year old single celebrity. Now, if you ask me and any reasonable man, this is a easy way to end up, well, in your 40s and single, despite your fame and still relatively decent looks. This is how it's done. But the slow dating trend is something that obviously needs to be avoided if you are a man, because men have their own definitions of slow dating, right? For example, not spending much money on a first date and taking a girl out to coffee and definitely not dinner. I have a segment about that coming up, so stick around if you want to know a little bit about that. But generally speaking, letting a girl essentially have your time, have your effort. A lot of times, even they are not willing to meet you, they will still a lot of times require you to Venmo them the price of their coffee or their Matty Patty. I mean, it's crazy what men nowadays are willing to pay for women without even meeting them. So this is unfortunately a trend which, on one hand, it's going to make the dating scene even worse. But on the other hand, I would celebrate it as a man, because if a girl right away kind of tells you that, well, I don't want to meet you right away, I want to chat and get to know you, well, she just saved you a lot of time, because you just move on and not waste your time on her. Because if you meet a girl, whether in person or on a dating app, you should give her 48 to, let's say, 72 hours to meet you for a quick coffee date, or not a quick coffee date, or a drink date, a casual date to get to know each other. If she's not able to do that because she's too busy, or the location is too far from her, or whatever the excuse is, she is not that interested. She is just not that interested. And women, a lot of guys miss this cue to get the fuck out of there. They try to accommodate, and they try to say, well, okay, well, what about this, and then what about that time and this place, and maybe not coffee if don't do any of that. The girl, this is the thing. I've already made a video that's called "Women Never Lie," and people raise their eyebrows, goes like, what do you mean women lie all the time? Only if you listen to what they have to say. But if you listen to what women do, they never lie, right? So if a girl is avoiding a date with you, essentially, which again, if it's not tonight, then tomorrow, the day after. That is a reasonable amount of time to free up about an hour or two to meet a good man, right? Because good men are not easy to find. And if she thinks you're a good man, she should automatically assume that, hey, I should clear up my schedule. Maybe I spend less time with my cats and with my boxed wine, and go ahead and have this, what should be a fun time anyway. Meeting a new person should be a fun time. You get to dress up, you get to meet a new man, you get to be a little nervous, you get to be a little flirty, because otherwise you're just sitting at home and doing podcasts with your sister, who you didn't even. I don't know much about Nikki Garcia, but apparently she doesn't live close enough to your sister to do a podcast together. But okay, that looked like a COVID podcast to me. So, gentlemen, this is a very important lesson that we once again being taught by modern women as they're adjusting to men adjusting to their new modern behavior. Don't do slow dating on their terms. It's not because it's on their terms, it's because it is a really bad one-way deal for you. And that is the story of the week, because it really is amazing how even women who, she should really not have a problem getting a man, still end up putting all of these walls and rules and slow dating strategies together to assure that they're single into their 40s. Now, she was married before, by the way, right? But she divorced her husband because I'm sure she thought she could do better. And yet she's single at 41. If you want to ditch modern women and move abroad for more traditional relationships, go to themillionmanproject.com, take my most comprehensive course, and change your life.